Notice of Annual General Meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 5th Annual General Meeting of the shareholders of DataBank Educational Investment Fund Limited will be held virtually via Zoom on Tuesday, July 14, 2020 at 9 a.m. to transact the following. 1. To receive and consider the reports of the directors, auditors, and the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2019. 2. To re-elect directors retiring by rotation. 3. To approve directors' fees. 4. To confirm the auditor's remuneration for the year ended December 31, 2019, and to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors for the year ending December 31, 2020. Special business. To amend the company's regulations or constitution to accommodate the holding of annual general meetings by electronic or virtual means, where the directors deem it necessary to do so, dated this 28th day of May 2020, by order of the board, Accra Nominees Limited, Company Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I now have the pleasure of presenting the chairman's statement for 2019 to unit holders. Please refer to page 2 to 4 of the annual report. Distinguished shareholders, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 5th Annual General Meeting, AGM, of DataBank Educational Investment Fund Limited, EdiFund. On behalf of the Board of Directors, management, and staff of DataBank, I'd like to express my appreciation to you for choosing EdiFund as your preferred investment vehicle. This year marks DataBank's 30th anniversary, and I would like to thank you all for embarking on this journey with us. I'll begin this report with an overview of the global and Ghanaian economies in 2019. Throw more light on the performance of our fund in 2019, and subsequently provide you with the outlook for 2020. Global Economic Review. Economic growth across the globe slowed down in 2019 due to the reduced global trade and investment, rising geopolitical tension, and uncertainties about the Brexit deal. According to the World Bank, global economic growth is estimated at 2.4% for 2019, led by the subdued growth in China, United States, and the Euro area. Trade tension between the United States and China continued to intensify within the year. The United States increased tariffs on certain Chinese imports, while China retaliated by raising tariffs on a subset of US imports. Additional escalation was stopped following the June 2019 G20 summit. The growth momentum in Europe waned as consumer and business confidence weakened, and car production in Germany was disrupted by the introduction of new emission standards. Domestic economic conditions. Ghana's macroeconomic indicators remained favorable in 2019, and thus real GDP growth for the year was estimated at 6.5%. This was marginally higher compared to the 6.3% real GDP growth recorded in 2018. Strong growth in the oil sector, propelled by the increased production, broadly supported overall GDP growth. As at the end of September 2019, crude oil lifted was 7.9 million barrels, compared to 6.9 million barrels for the first 9 months of 2018. Non-oil GDP, however, recorded slower growth, averaging 5% in the first 3 quarters of 2019, compared to 5.9% in 2018 on account of slowdown in the outputs in the agricultural sector. Fiscal development. Amidst the persistent revenue shortfalls, the government introduced new tax laws that crucially reduced the overall revenue gap in 2019. However, elevated spending pressure, particularly in the interest payments, energy sector obligations, and social intervention programs, prevented significant cuts in expenditure. Although the revenue shortfall persisted, fiscal deficit remained within the 5% stability limit, ending the year at 4.8%. Exchange rate. The Ghana cedi continued to depreciate in 2019, shedding 12.9% of its value on the interbank market. The key developments that contributed to the uninspiring performance of the cedi were the monetary policy rate cut of 100 BPS to 16%, and weak fiscal and public debt data. This further undermined investor confidence in the policy outlook, leading to heightened foreign investor outflows, which worsened the loss suffered by the cedi. The government successfully issued a $3 billion euro bond in March 2019 that suppressed the decline of the cedi, although it was short-lived as fiscal concerns continued to deepen the cedi's loss. Inflation. Inflation remained well anchored in 2019, ending the year at 7.9% compared to 9.4% at the end of 2018. The decline of inflation was on the back of lower food inflation, as well as the rebasing of the consumer price index and the expansion of the inflation basket with the addition of 40 more items. Though the rebased CPI contained inflation below 8%, in Q3 of 2019, currency volatility, higher taxes, and utility tariffs threatened to cause general prices to rise in the last quarter of the year. Interest rates. Interest rate movements remained fairly stable, with the investor interest domiciled towards the short term in 2019, owing to the limited refinancing risk at the end of the curve. The 91-day and the 182-day I take this again. The 91-day and the 182-day Treasury bill rates recorded average yields of 14.7% and 15.17%, respectively, in 2019. Also, the 364-day bill recorded an average yield of 17.9%. Ghana stock market performance. The Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index, GSE-CI, ended 2019 on a negative note, with a return of minus 12.25%. Reduced foreign investor participation, net selling on the BERS, and the currency pressures contributed to the negative performance of the market. The performance of some of the financial stocks moderated the bearish performance of the BERS. On a positive note, the market recorded its single largest trade with acquisition of ETI shares valued at $70 million by Aris BV from the World Bank's IFC. The slight recovery in the fourth quarter of 2019 did little to restore the GSE-CI's performance to positive territory. The market closed the year with 6 gainers and 19 laggards, whilst 9 stocks remained unchanged. Fund performance. EdiFund Tier 1 ended the year at a price of 0.2238 Ghana cedis and a return of 11.44%. The fund's performance can largely be attributed to returns recorded by the fixed income portfolio, and as such, the fund grew by 13.1% of Ghana cedis to Ghana cedi 11.87 million from Ghana cedis 10.49 million recorded in the previous year. EdiFund Tier 2 recorded a return of 6.87% in 2019 to close the year at a price of Ghana cedis 0.2029. The fund's performance was an account of returns earned by the fixed income portfolio as performance of listed equities continued their bearish run. In spite of the lackluster performance of the equity market, the fund grew by 12.5% from Ghana cedi 20.28 million to Ghana cedi 22.82 million, supported by net inflows. The combined shareholder base of EdiFund increased from 25.198 to 33.134 during the period under review. Outlook for 2020. The World Bank estimates global growth at about 2.5%, a downward revision by 0.2% from earlier forecasts. The slowdown in economic activity of advanced and emerging markets is expected due to the impact of the novel coronavirus, which has led to restricted movement between and within most countries. The domestic economy is also expected to experience weak growth in 2020 compared to 2019 on account of the shortfall in government revenue, health-related expenditures, and supply chain shortages. The potential slowdown of economic activity compelled the Monetary Policy Committee to adopt expansionary monetary policy stance by reducing the policy rate by 1,500 BPS to 14.5% in March of 2020. Among other things, interest rates are therefore expected to decline in line with the reduction of the monetary policy rate. Additionally, some downside risks on food inflation are expected owing to the reduction in crude oil prices. The Bank of Ghana's bi-weekly FX forward auction, in addition to the $3 billion Eurobond issuance in the first quarter of 2020, should curtail upside pressures on the cedi. The introduction of the currency forward market by the Bank of Ghana should also result in the relative stability of the local currency. This, however, may not reverse outflows of foreign funds that are invested in local currency bonds due to the likely contagion effect of COVID-19 on the fixed income market. Additionally, we cannot discount the impact the spread of the virus may have on the equity market, as most retail and institutional investors may either scale down their participation on the equity market or adopt wait-and-see approach. While the fundamentals for some underpriced stocks remain strong, the effect of COVID-19 on market dynamics cannot be ignored. This could dampen market performance and affect the fundamental performance of some sectors: financial sector, oil sector, FMGs, due to the closure of most businesses as a result of the partial lockdown. We believe our holdings are sound and of great potential. We will continue to hold an overweight position in high-yielding fixed income securities while monitoring the equity market for opportunities. Based on the mixed outlook, I want to reassure investors of our commitment to work assiduously to protect your investment and provide sustainable returns. We are grateful for your support and continued trust in DataBank. We wish you prosperity and good health in 2020. Ayeko. The next item on the agenda is to receive the auditor's report. I will ask a representative from the auditors, Messrs. Baker Tilly, Anda and Anda, to present their report.
Somebody regulating it. Come and see. should go to participant.
Yeah. Okay.
Please proceed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Samuel Abiao of Bekatili and Nanda, the engagement partner. I'm here with my colleagues, that's the in-charge auditor, Mr. Rai Edu Damoa, and Patrick Asamoah. May I find out from you, we are using the enhanced auditor's report, so it's quite lengthy. So if I should read portions of it, or if you want me to read everything, I will do that. So I want to find out from you.
Portions, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So I read my report. Independent auditors report to the members of Data Bank Educational Investment Fund Limited. I read the opinion part. We've audited the financial statements of Data Bank Educational Investment Fund Limited, which comprise the statement of financial position as at December 31, 2019, and the statement of comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies as set out on pages 11 to 33. It should be 34. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statement presents fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the fund as at December 31, 2019, and its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, and comply with the Companies Act 2019, Act 992, the Securities Industry Act 2016, Act 929, and the Unit Trusts and Mutual Funds Regulations 2001, LI 1695. And read the key audit matters portion. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current period. They are matters to be addressed in the context of our audits of the financial statements as a whole and informing our opinion thereon. And we do not provide a separate opinion on those matters. Impairment provision. Impairment in fixed income securities was 26,614,590 Ghana cedis as for 2019, as against 21,650,411 for 2018, with total general impairment provision of 51,010 Ghana cedis. The 2018 was nil. The measurement of impairment provision is deemed a key audit matter, as the determination of assumptions for expected losses is subjective due to the level of judgment applied by the directors. The most significant judgments are assumptions used in the expected loss model to assess the risk related to the exposure and the expected returns from the issuer, timely identification of exposures with significant increase in risk, valuation of collateral and assumptions of future cash flows on mutually assessed investment impaired exposures. Then this is how the matter was addressed in our report. We updated our understanding and tested operating effectiveness of management controls over investments, maturity of investment and interest receivable. We evaluated appropriateness of the accounting policies based on the requirements of IFRS 9 and industry practice. We evaluated the adequacy of the disclosures made in the financial statement to ensure that transition adjustments were accurate and complete. We performed substantive testing to obtain evidence of timely identification of exposures with significant increase in risk and timely identification of investment impaired exposures. Then lastly, we conducted substantive testing to support appropriate determination of assumptions for impairment provision and future cash flows on manually assessed investment impaired exposures. I will jump to the reports on other legal and regulatory requirements. The Companies Act 2019 Act 992 requires that in carrying out our audit work, we consider and report on the following matters. We confirm that we've obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of the audit. In our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept by the fund. So far as appears from the examination of those books, the fund's financial statements are in agreement with the books of accounts signed by Samuel Abiao on the 30th of April 2020 for and on behalf of Bekatili and the Chartered Accountants, Accra. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Before we consider our first resolution to be voted upon, I'd like to ask Gillian Hammer, DataBank's Group Chief Marketing Officer, to once again explain the procedure for sending a motion, for seconding a motion, asking a question, or voting on a resolution. Mrs. Hammer.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, TT. Mr. Chairman, to second the motion, you will be asked to raise your hand. A number of you have been testing it out, so I think you have the hang of it. The moderator will unmute you when you raise your hand, and you will be required to state your name in full before asking your question. So to ask questions, you can raise your hand, use the chat or the Q&A feature. If you are using a PC, click on Participants and then click Raise Hand. If you are using your mobile phone, tap on the 3 dots labeled More and then tap Raise Hand to raise your hand. The polling feature will be used for voting on each resolution. You can only vote when the chairman declares the voting open on a specific resolution. The experience will be the same whether you are using your PC or a mobile device. When it is time to vote, the poll will appear on your screen. Simply select your preferred option, so either for or against, to cast your vote. We will allow a few minutes for each resolution to enable everybody to vote. Voting will be done in real time, and the results will be shared for all to see at the end of the vote. Once the voting is declared closed on a specific resolution, you can no longer access or vote on that resolution. The instructions on how to raise your hand to either second a motion or ask a question, as well as how to use a polling feature to vote for or against a motion, can also be found on page 1 of the annual report as part of the notice of the annual general meeting. Thank you.
Are there any questions before the motion is moved and put to the meeting?
Yes, we
Please raise your hand.
We have a question from Juliet Atuheni. Juliet, please go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, I put some money down for the funds since 2006, and I left the country. And yes, you have been sending me information about everything, but I don't even know what is happening. You understand? And I want to know, yeah, I couldn't join the meeting on time, but I just saw the email, so I just joined because I couldn't access my emails. So I just want to know what is happening and how I'll be coming home next year. And then I want to know, I don't even know my account number. I know you have been sending me everything online and emails, but I don't know what is happening to the account, whether it is yielding fruits or whether it is stagnant, whether it is, I don't know anything. And I want to know, please don't laugh.
It's not a laughing matter.
And that is what I want to know, please.
Hello, Julia.
Yeah.
You mentioned 2006. I would suspect that your product is not EdiFund. This is EdiFund Annual General Meeting. EdiFund was launched in 2014. So I suspect you are with one of the other products.
Oh, what?
If you can check, we have our annual general meeting for EPAC after this one. And
yeah, that's EPAC. EPAC. Mine is EPAC.
Yours is EPAC. That starts at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay. All right.
But
thank you very much.
Thank you very much for still joining and getting to know about EdiFund.
All right. Thank you very much.
But he can buy EdiFund too, Kojo. You didn't tell him.
Any?
Okay, we have another question from Daniel Ajay. Daniel, please unmute yourself and then speak.
Okay, so I've unmuted myself, and it's interesting that I think Juliet kind of preempted what I was going to ask. I mean, this AGM is supposed to be for members, right? And I'm asking myself, how are we going to identify the members such that I'm sure that all those who are going to be members, because, for example, for what Juliet just brought up, she wants, even though she actually bought EPAC. So how sure are we that, or how have we been able to ensure that all those who are going to vote are only members. Because legally, if somebody is not a member, then that person is not entitled to vote. And that's my question.
Okay, Daniel, in preparing for this AGM, we ensured that those who were registering to vote had valid account numbers. So if you did not have a valid account number, it's unlikely that you are a member. However, what could happen is one account number can be used for various products. So you could be a member of the data bank group with one of our products, but you may not necessarily be a member of a specific fund. So definitely that anybody who registered is a client of one fund or the other.
Kojo, my key issue has to do with the voting. I mean, we're doing things that are legal here, and that's why I'm asking that. And from what you said, you can have one, if you're using account numbers, you can have one account number, but you may not be a member of M-Fund or EdiFund. You're a member of EPAC, but using one account number. And we just had a clear case with Juliet on board this Zoom meeting, and Juliet could have voted, and possibly there are a lot more people on it who are going to vote. So the question is how, I still don't see how we clarify that to ensure that those who are voting or those who will be voting now are only members. Because if we're using account numbers, just as you said, one account number can be used for several funds. You know, how are we ensuring that those who are voting specifically for EdiFund now are only members of EdiFund?
Okay, so Daniel, I get the point you are making, but we made sure that we sent the links to the specific shareholders who would be joining the various meetings. But I get your point.
Yeah, I mean, because sharing the link is one, I agree. But to ensure that, otherwise, it's just an exercise to tick a box. And I feel that, I mean, once we're doing that, then possibly the whole thing is defeated or it becomes unnecessary. You know, it's just an exercise to tick a box. But if we're not sure that we've really reached out to members and the only members who are voting. And a typical case, we had Juliet who came to an EdiFund AGM ready to vote, but isn't an EdiFund member. And I must also
Daniel,
say that
Daniel,
yes.
let me come in here. In the traditional AGMs, when we go to the conference center, it's even a worse situation where you don't even know who is walking in at all. In this case, at least we've registered with valid members. We've actually reduced that probability.
Yes, I would. We have a question from Dominic.
Yes.
Dominic?
Yes.
Dominic, please go ahead.
Okay. So my question is about the portfolio of investment of the EdiFund. Hello?
Yes, go on.
Okay. So it's about the portfolio of investment of EdiFund. I've been a member for a while, but I've never had a statement or anything about the portfolios that the fund invests in.
Yes, go on.
The performance of the various. Yes. About the portfolio.
Hello, Dominic. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. It will be good for you to contact our contact center just so we are sure we have all your details, email, phone number, etc. You can call them on 0302 610 610 or send an email to info@databankgroup.com. I'm sure we will be able to give you all your details.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Yeah.
So we have, Julia, do you have another question?
Sorry, I'm muted. I'm just clarifying what Daniel said previously. When I posed my question, I was corrected that this is not my meeting. My meeting is at 11. So there's no way I'm going to vote. There's no way I'm going to vote in this meeting. I'm not going to vote. So I'm clarifying what Daniel said. I am not going to vote. I'm even going to leave now because I've been
Thank you. Thank you.
told that
Well done.
mine is supposed to be at 11 o'clock. So I'll join the 11 o'clock one. Maybe I may be
I
listening.
think we should clarify matters for Dominic.
Yeah. So I'm not going to vote at all because I think the one who spoke, I don't know the name, specifically told me that your meeting is at 11. So I'll be there. I'll be at 11 to speak. But I'm interested in this one. That is why I'm staying. It's not because I'm going to vote. No.
Thank you.
Any more?
There's one more from Enoch Kumi.
Enoch Kumi.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Enoch.
Yeah, I hold an account at Databank. I just want to touch on what Daniel said. I don't hold an account on. This is the first time I'm taking part in this.
It's very unstable.
So I will not take part in the vote. So I just want to clarify it.
Very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We have a question from Samuel Yeboah. Samuel, please go ahead.
Good morning.
Morning, Samuel.
I have EdiFund account and the EdiFund 1 and 2. So I want to know if I vote here, I'll be allowed to vote when the EdiFund 2 is holding the meeting. Or is it that the voting is just once here?
No, Samuel. I can tell that quite a number of people
attending the AGM for the first time because we've gone virtual. But in the traditional sense, we would hold all AGMs on the same day at the Accra International Conference Center. During that period, the first meeting would be EdiFund. It starts at 9. The EdiFund shareholders will stay.
Okay.
End that meeting, and then the next meeting comes up. All EdiFund shareholders stay in the room. We have the meeting, voting happens, it ends, and then the next and the next and the next. We thank God for technology. For the first time, we are holding the AGM such that all shareholders across the world are able to participate. So if you are an EdiFund shareholder after this meeting, you don't need to log off at 11 o'clock. If you are an EPAC meeting, you come back. If you are not an EPAC shareholder, tomorrow from 9 o'clock, we will start with EdiFund, and then you can join that meeting and participate as well. So that's what is happening. And for now,
Okay.
everybody has been registered and was registered with a valid account number. So at least we know that there are no strangers to data bank in the meeting. When we were at Accra International Conference Center, you never know which stranger will just walk in and claim that they are indeed a shareholder, walk in and participate and go away. So I think we've made some progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any more?
We now have a question from Samuel Yebo, a second Samuel Yebo.
Hello. Hello.
Hi,
Hello?
Samuel, go ahead.
Okay, my question is, what is the yield? Is the yield on tier 1 and 2 of the EdiFund the same?
This year?
Manager?
So, Samuel, just to be clear, you're asking for the return for 2020?
Yeah, what I'm saying is, because I have tier 2 and tier 1, I want to know how much I should be topping up to increase the yield. So I'm asking if the yield on them year on year, is it the same? Is my question clear?
Yes, so I'll repeat it for the chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, Samuel wants to know
Yes.
how much he should be topping up by in order to increase his yield for tier 1 and tier 2. Samuel, is that correct?
Partially. The reason for that, I just want to know if the yield on both are the same.
The two levels are the same.
Are the same. Okay. So if they are, so how do I know? So that I'll know based on what I want to gain at the end of a period, how much should I be topping up on each to be able to get a certain amount? So that's the basis for my question.
Okay, so as you all know, the EdiFund is a mutual fund, and by law, we are not able to promise a return. We can't guarantee you a return. What we can tell you is what the fund has performed in the past. The two tiers are different portfolios. One has one is more fixed income, and the other has some equity. So it cannot be the same. However, the amount you can top up is all up to you. It doesn't have to be a specific amount. You can top up any day, any time, in any way you want with our various channels. And depending on what we invest in, the appropriate return will be given to you. So you can see what the fund performance is every day on our website. We publish the fund's performance every day because we revalue the portfolio every day. So when you go onto the website, you will see what the fund's performance is on a daily basis and on a quarterly basis and on a year-to-date basis as well.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Kojo. Thank you.
Thank you, Kojo. The next question is from Daniel Ajay. Daniel, please go ahead.
Yes, I have two quick questions, and thanks, Kojo, for clarifying the other issue on the voting. So I have two quick questions. The first one has to do with the impairment charge. And just to give you background, I'm a chartered accountant. There's no impairment charge for prior year, but there is an impairment charge for current year. May I ask, I checked the notes and I didn't see any notes clarifying that. So may I ask why that? Then the second question has to do with there is accounting fees, which I see in the expenses. There's accounting fees, which I see in the expenses. My understanding was that as part of your management fees, you have all those things included. So my question is, why are you charging accounting fees separate from the management fees? Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. So the first question was about the impairment charge, and then the second question was about accounting fees and why they're not part of the management fees.
That's
Daniel,
correct.
is that correct?
Yeah, impairment charge for just the current year. I mean, and it's quite a significant amount there. And there's no impairment charge for 2018. And also the accounting fees, yes.
Daniel, my name is Iman, the finance manager for the fund.
Okay.
Daniel, during the prior year, we didn't charge impairment because we didn't have impaired assets during that period. In 2019, we happened to have impaired assets. That is why we charged impairment during 2019. However, the fund has a rule of charging impairment on our fixed income securities at the rate of 1% during the year. So in 2019, we had a general impairment of 1% on our fixed income securities.
Manuel, I think you've given an explanation, but I mean, I think that it doesn't sound okay for me. I mean, Chairman gave us all the issues that had happened. In 2018, the banking crisis and I mean, the banking cleanup exercise and all of that. And we're saying that none of the assets were impaired. I mean, you did an impairment review and you had zero. Is that what we're talking about here? Meanwhile, in 2019, you do an impairment review and we're talking about 641,000. I mean, I think that's, I don't think this explanation you gave is tenable. That an impairment review gave you zero. And the following year, you're doing 641,000. I mean, I think that's...
Daniel, in 2019, the fund decided to fully adopt IFRS 9. So that is how come we had impairment of that tune in 2019.
So you're saying that the 2019 was first time adoption?
Yeah, first time adoption, yes.
But if you're doing first time adoption, then you should go to prior year and also show the comparative figures. Okay. If you're doing first time adoption, you should go to prior year and show comparative figures. You cannot just focus on 2019, maybe just the current year. If the auditors are around, maybe the auditors can also help address it. I mean, this is not, this is IFRS and it's a standard. And you go for first adoption, you go to prior year and you do a review and you show how it's impacted that. And I'm not seeing any comment here actually stating that this is the first time that 2019 is the first time that we adopted IFRS. I'm not seeing, unless, I mean, I'm not clear. But if there's anything, maybe you can point me to that. But I'm not seeing anything, any note on first time adoption.
Okay, Daniel, is the report that you are seeing is an abridged version of the main report. So it's
there's an abridged version. You usually state it. I mean, if there's also if this is an abridged version, you will normally state that this is an abridged version. You will not give it to us, and I'm not. I mean, I'll be surprised any part is abridged because I'm seeing all the disclosures that ordinarily would have been in the financial statement. See, I'm seeing all the disclosures that ordinarily would be there. So I'm wondering which part is abridged.
Daniel, the full version of the report is posted on the website.
I picked that. I'm talking about what I have on the website. That's where I'm looking at. I've actually opened it on another phone, not even the one I'm holding. That's why I'm telling you, I picked the notes and all of that. I have the full version. It's about 64 pages. That's where I'm speaking from. I've seen the notes on impairment. It has allowance for 1st January, nil. Then impairment allowance for 31st, 641. Then impairment charge, 641. Impairment allowance, 8A. note 8A. I'm looking at the full version. The impairment allowance shown in note represents stock of provision at the end of the year. That's all that was said. There's nothing about this being first time adoption. There's nothing about this is the first time we are doing an impairment review. So I think, please, explain to us what we're going to vote.
Okay. So if we could respond to. Dylan, can we ask the auditors to intervene here and tell us what?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, let me just. Samuel, can you please unmute yourself and then respond to that question? Samuel, can we please get you to respond? Or we will, okay, he's on.
He's on.
Samuel, you'll need to unmute yourself, please.
Maybe while we wait for Samuel, second question.
We can't hear you, Samuel.
Samuel, we cannot hear you. I can see you moving your jaws, but is there a reason why we can't hear you? Unmute yourself. Yes, he's talking.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you now.
You can hear me now. So yes. I have to go over. What I'm trying to say is that if 2019 were to be the first year of adoption, like my colleague accountant was saying, we would have had evidence over there. So 2019 is not the first year of adoption. But the point is, in 2018, when we audited, that issue came up. So I remember we presented in our management reports that there should be some kind of provision. The company has its own policy, which is 1%, but they said that the assets were not impaired. That's why they didn't make any provision. So we recommended that going forward, there should be some kind of provision. That is why 2019, they made that 1% provision on the fixed income. But once again, to my colleague accountant, the amount is quite huge. If you go to the notes, you see that it's made up of two components. The general provision, that is what we are talking about. Then the specific provision. The specific provision relates to a particular asset that is impaired. I have the detail over here. Of course, we cannot show the details in the financial statement. It's made up of, I think, tier 1 was made up as M&N, an investment. M&N was impaired. So that's specific provision. Then PBC 2 was also impaired. The figures are, I think the first one, M&N, is 492 plus the other one. The other one is, that's the PBC one, is 355,955. So this is specific provision or specific impairment, and it occurred in 2019. So this added to the general provision is giving you that huge figure. So it's not the general provision that gave that huge amount over there. It's made up of two components: specific impairment, investment that has actually been impaired, and the general provision, which is just 1% of the fixed income securities.
Yeah,
so that's what I know. So it came up in 2018. We recommended that they should do assessments and make some provision. And based on their policy, they said that they are going to rely on what 1%. That's 1% provision. So that's what I can say.
Yeah, Samuel, your data, and if they had a policy of 1% provision, my question is, was it applied in 2018? And two,
I think I have explained that it was something that came up in 2018.
Exactly. So my question is, if that's the policy, why is it zero, number one? And two, if there's a specific provision, we all know the issues that PBC has been having. So why would you as the auditor feel that, or why do you as the auditor feel that there was no need to make a provision for PBC in 2018?
Oh, the account, I wasn't the one who prepared the account. You are an accountant, so I don't prepare the account.
You were the one who did the audit, and we are relying on your
to
say that this should.
So that's what I'm saying. So if the asset hasn't been impaired, do you want us to impair it?
No, I am asking. You said they had a general provision of 1%, right? General provision of 1%. That means that generally they'll provide 1% no matter what. And there's specific provision. So let's say that there wasn't even specific provision in 2018. There was general provision. So why would you as the auditor feel that that should pass?
My point is, I think you didn't get me well. That it was an issue. You know, we in the course of auditing, we meet with management. We discuss some of our findings with them. So it came up. It was a reportable issue. So it was based on our recommendation that they should make some kind of a provision going forward. I hope you are following what I'm saying. It is just 1%. So by 2018, they had prepared the account. So they didn't provide for that 1%. But we said going forward. And based upon our recommendation, 2019, they made provision for the 1%. Then there was actual impairment. That's what I'm trying to say. So it wasn't that they had a policy and we decided to let it pass. That was not my explanation.
Yeah, but that's exactly what you're saying now. You said they had that policy.
Daniel, Mr. Ajay.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I think we'll put the matter to a vote, and there are provisions made to pursue the matter.
Mr. Chairman, just before maybe you make a ruling on that, my plea is that I feel strongly that we should look at these accounts again, because it's not about voting on it per se, but then if we have something like this and 2018 there was a policy and the policy wasn't applied, and all of a sudden it's been applied in 2019. Then I think that there may be something that all of us or we are not being told here. I think.
Can I come in? Can I come in?
The accounts again.
Saying,
yes, Samuel. I think we should. The provisions are made to pursue this further. Daniel, if you read your document, well, we will take the vote at this AGM. And if the issue is not resolved, we have provisions made to pursue it. So it's not a matter of pushing it aside.
No,
if it is a matter that needs to be pursued, arrangements are there for pursuing it. And I think you should take note of that.
Mr. Chairman, I take note of it. And maybe just the last point, then I go off, please. We are saying that we're using IFRS. We're using IFRS. And IFRS 9 doesn't even have specific provision and general provision. That is, the IFRS 9, it's not what it talks about now. It's been amended such that you put the assets in pools, and there are stages and there are ways of doing that. What he's saying is also not in line with IFRS 9, as we are saying. It's not in line with IFRS 9. In other words, it puts the whole accounts. We are saying that it complies with IFRS. It puts that in doubt. And I want to point that out here. It puts the whole accounts in doubt. because we are not complying with the standards we say we're complying with, because that is not how provisions are done under IFRS 9 amended. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I come in?
Okay. Can we, Samuel, I think
okay.
If shareholders vote on this and we don't have a resolution, we'll then look at the provisions that are made for us to pursue the matter. So at this point then, I hereby move that the directors and auditors report, as well as the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2019, as submitted to this meeting, be and are hereby received and adopted. Would a unit holder please raise his or her hand to second this motion?
Edmund, can you please go ahead? You'll need to state your name and then indicate that you second the motion.
Hello.
Yes, Edmond.
Hello, my name is Edmond Hazel. I second it. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. I second.
Yes. We've heard it.
Thank you, Edmond. I now put the motion to the meeting. Would all those in favor of this motion please signify by voting in the poll on your screen? I'm a shareholder, I can vote. Oh? It's not. Okay, that's good enough. They have Appendix A, don't they? We don't have to read through. Say again. Oh, okay. We have 1 more minute for voting. So you signal me when
Okay, Mr. Chairman, there are a few people who are still voting, so we will allow for a few more seconds and then we will close this vote. Mr. Chairman, for the first resolution, which was to adopt the report of the directors, auditors, and the financial statements of the company for the year ended December 31st, 2019. There were a total of 72 votes, 60 for the motion and 12 against.
So I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next business is the re-election of Mrs. Rosalind Dakwa and Dr. Hazel Barad Amwa. Please show your faces. They are due for retirement at this meeting and have offered themselves for re-election. Are there any questions before the motion is moved and put to the meeting? See page 38 of the annual report for information on the name director. Please raise your hands, use the chat or Q&A function to ask questions. I hereby move that Mrs. Rosalind Dakwa, having offered herself for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected as director of the company. Would the unit holder please raise his or her hand to second this motion?
Mr. Chairman, I have Nana Ashun. Nana, can you please unmute yourself and give us your name? Nana, can you please unmute yourself and give us your name to second the motion?
Where is Nana? Sometimes they can't hear because they are.
Okay, then we will move to Henry. Henry, can you please unmute yourself and give us your name to second the motion?
Yeah, my name is Henry Answer Ado. I second the motion.
Thank you, Henry.
And I put the motion into the motion. With all those in favor of this motion, please signify by voting in the poll on your screen.
Mr. Chairman, for the second resolution, which was to re-elect Rosalind Dakwa, who is retiring by rotation, 56 people voted for it, 8 people against it.
I hereby declare the motion has been duly carried. I hereby move that Dr. Hazel Barat Amwa, having offered herself for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected as director of the company. Would a unit holder please raise his or her hand to second this motion?
We have Henry. Henry, can you please give us your name before you second the motion?
Yeah, my name is Henry Ansando. I second the motion.
Thank you, Henry. I now put the motion to the meeting. Would all those in favor of this motion please signify by voting in the poll on your screen?
Mr. Chairman, for the resolution to elect Hazel Berard Amour, who is retiring by rotation, 64 shareholders voted for and 4 voted against.
I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is to approve directors' fees. The directors are proposing that the non-executive directors' fees for the year ended 31st December 2019, approved at the 4th annual general meeting held last year, and which are 850 Ghana cedis per month per non-executive director and 970 cedis per month for the chairman, be maintained for the year ending 31st December 2020. Are there any questions before the motion is moved and put to the meeting? Please raise your hand as usual. Use the chat or the Q&A function to ask your question.
Mr. Chairman, we have a question from Stephen Anko.
Sorry.
Stephen, go ahead.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I mistakenly clicked on the question. Sorry, sir.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, I think we have a question from Olivia Owusu. Olivia, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hello, good morning, House. My question is, on what basis are the fees determined, both for non-executive directors and then the chairman?
What was it?
The question was, on what is the basis for determining the fees for the directors, both for the chairman and the directors?
Okay, hi, this is Kojo here. A lot of factors go into determining board fees. You have to look at the quality of the persons on the board, the competencies. You look at peer companies, how much they are paying for various directors in the industry and in similar positions. And of course, ability to pay is also a factor. And you all agree that it's important that we try and attract quality board members with diverse backgrounds as well. If you look at the numbers that have just been put out there, to be honest with you, if you look at the financial services sector and then you drop it to commercial banking and investment banking, it's not really much high of a figure. However, as the chairman has put it, this year we are not increasing any fees. We are just leaving it as it was last year. So a whole lot of things coming. Last year, all that was done was an inflation adjustment to just be at par with what inflation had done. But this year, even we are not adjusting for inflation at all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kojo. The next question is from Ebenezer. Please unmute yourself, Ebenezer.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to ask this question. My regards to the CEO, Mr. Kojo Adamensan. My question is that the director has asked us to vote on maintaining the fees for non-executive and executive members. My question is there any possibility of increasing their remuneration, or because if people vote against the request to maintain their remuneration, what will be the decision of the board?
Okay, so if I get your question well, are you saying if we get a resolution not passed to say don't increase, then the reverse is for it to be increased?
Don't change.
Ebenezer, I wanted clarity, but the recommendation is that they will just keep what the old fee is. Normally would come with at least an inflation adjusted increase, but under the current circumstances, the board members are recommending that we maintain the fees as is. And by the way, executive directors do not get any fees. And I'm not a director at least, but they're only non-executive directors here. I hope that's right.
Thank you, Kojo. Okay, we've got a question from Dennis and Cancer. Dennis, please go ahead.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity to add my voice. Just to start to say that the director's fees, to be honest, is nothing to write home about. If you compare it in terms of industry standard, paying a board chairman 970 is nothing to write home about. But So I think that point must be made clear. And also, my only question here there is on the director's fees. Is it based on per sitting? I didn't quite catch that, or is per month, regardless of the number of times the board meet? Thank you.
I'm doing that. It is the fees are per month, regardless of the number of times they sit. Sitting allowance, and the auditors can help me out if I'm wrong, but sitting allowance is a reimbursable kind of expense. So it is not like if you don't come for the meeting, you are not given any reimbursable to be able to sort out maybe transportation or something. But board fees are monthly fees. And then because we engage them throughout, we don't engage the board members only when they come for a board meeting. They are engaged throughout the course of the year for various issues.
Thank you, Kojo, and thank you, Dennis, for your questions. We will take 2 more questions before we move on in the interest of time. So there's a question from Juliet and then a question from Edmund.
Oh, okay. All right. My question is, I get confused when the money is mentioned, when the currency is mentioned. So, for instance, when they say 900,000 or 800, I don't even understand in the first place. In the old Ghana city, what is it? And then secondly, my next question is that can the bank afford that? I mean, if they can afford it, and they think, as somebody said, that it's nothing to write home about, if it can be slightly increased, or that is if the bank can afford it. I don't even know what the money is, what its worth is. But the fact of the matter is that I don't know if can be explained to me what is the old Ghana city or something. I don't know. But the fact is, if it's nothing to write home about, and they are working very hard to make sure that things are in place and things are kept very well in the bank, then I think if there is the possibility of a little increments for them to be able to do their work and then do everything, so that we, those who are investing too, are sure that our money is being kept very well, and I mean, things are done properly, so that we also gain from what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juliet. I gather you are based out of Ghana, and so maybe there's a bit of a struggle there, but I'll just reduce it to dollar terms, and it comes to just about $130. So yes, for now, I can understand the sentiment about it not being anything to write about, but we are very cognizant of the expense ratio within which we operate and the affordability. But this year, we really thought that things have been so uncertain that it will not be proper, or it will not be proper to come in asking for an increase. So maybe I think next year we will put this on record, and next year we'll look at the numbers again and come up with an appropriate figure. But it's $130 approximately.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. I hereby move that the non-executive director's fees for the year ended 31st December 2019 approved at the 4th annual general meeting held last year. Sorry. Yes. And so we now, I'm sorry. And I'll put the motion to the meeting. Would all those in favor of the motion please sing? Sorry, have I jumped?
Somebody else second.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry then. So we'll start. Would a unit holder please raise his or her hand to second this motion?
Stephen Anko, can you please give us your full name and indicate whether you're a shareholder or a proxy?
Stephen Ankun. I'm a shareholder, and I second the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
And I put the motion to the meeting. With all those in favor of the motion, please signify by voting in the poll on your screen.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion to approve director's fees, 64 people voted for the motion and 6 voted against.
Thank you. I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. The next item on the agenda is to confirm the auditor's remuneration for the year 31st December 2019, and to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors for the year ending 31st December 2020. The auditor's remuneration for the year ended 31st December 2020 amounted to 30,713 Ghana cedis, including VAT and national health insurance. Are there any questions before the motion is moved and put to the meeting? Please raise your hand, use the chat or Q&A function to ask your questions.
Mr. Chairman, we have a question from Ebenezer Tieku.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. My question really is, in respect of the amount you mentioned, how many directors, auditors are we talking about here? Thank you.
It is a firm of auditors.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
We have a question from Daniela J, and then we will move to the voting.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, just maybe by way of information, I would like to ask, how long have we had the auditors?
Hello, Daniel, they are in their 5th year now.
Okay. In other words, the New Companies Act, we'll be looking at rotation, right?
Yeah, we'll be looking at it when the time comes up.
Okay,
and
that's fine.
We need to engage SEC too, yes.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Any more?
We have one more question from Stephen. Stephen, please go ahead.
Please, does this amount, or is this the charge for the year ended 2019, or other years are included? Thanks.
Is the year ending 2019.
All right, thank you. Wow.
I now put the motion to the meeting. With all those in favor of this.
Seconded. Somebody needs to second.
Yes. Oh, okay. I hereby move that the auditor's remuneration for the year ended 31st December 2019, amounting to 30,713, inclusive of VAT and NHIL, be and is hereby confirmed by the directors, be and are hereby authorized to a fixed remuneration of the auditors for the year ending 31st December 2020. Would a unit holder please raise his or her hand to second this motion?
Danielle, can you please state your full name and indicate whether you are a shareholder or proxy?
Yeah, so my name is Daniel Eje. I'm a shareholder. And I second the motion for the...
And I'll put the motion to the meeting. Would all those in favor of this motion please signify by voting the hold on your screen?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, on the resolution to confirm the auditor's remuneration for the year ended December 31st, 2019, and to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors for the year ending December 31st, 2020, 62 shareholders voted for the motion and 5 against.
I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The last item on the agenda, which is being discussed as special business, is to amend the company's regulation to accommodate the holding of the annual general meeting by electronic or virtual means, where the directors deem it necessary to do so. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic and resultant restrictions imposed under the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2020 on public gatherings, the Registrar of Companies, by a company's bulletin dated 14th May 2020, directed that companies may hold their annual general meetings electronically. This directive is applicable to the holding of this year's AGM, but to cater for the future and also the possibility that there will be a hybrid in the mode of holding AGMs, there is the need for the company's regulation to be amended to accommodate the holding of annual general meetings by electronic or virtual means, where the directors deem it necessary to do so. Are there any questions before the motion is carried and put to the meeting? Please raise your hand, use the chat or Q&A function to ask your questions.
Okay. We'll take a question from, we can only take 2 questions. So we'll take a question from Stephen and we'll take a question from Senyo, who has not spoken for the whole meeting. Stephen, please go ahead.
Thank you. Actually, I would like to support this
in the sense that actually this is my first time of attending AGM. Most of the time I do receive, this is not a question, but just to support the motion. That this is the first time I'm joining the AGM, and subsequently I've been receiving invitations to come, but I'm unable to come, especially I'm in Kumasi, and mostly it's being held in Accra here. Considering the time, the travel, and all that, I should think the electronic means is very good. If you can consider the hybrid form to having a virtual form whilst we have the meeting actually taking place too, that's also fine. I support this idea. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. And Senyo, can you please ask your question? Give us your full name, indicate whether you're a shareholder or a proxy, and then please ask your question.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. My full name is Senyo Gogovi, and I'm a shareholder. I would like to ask, looking at the participants of this meeting, the number that is participating as compared to not holding it virtually. Maybe I just want to know the number of participants. Is it okay as compared to if it is not virtual? Thank you.
I can answer that one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Senyo. Last year, we had about 150 participants. This year, we have topped out at about 120.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome.
I hereby move that the company's regulations be amended to accommodate the holding of annual general meetings by electronic or virtual means, where the directors deem it necessary to do so. Will the unit holder please raise his or her hand to second this motion?
Miles, can you please give us your full name, indicate whether you're a shareholder or a proxy before you second the motion?
Miles Monka is my name. I'm a shareholder, and I second the motion.
I now put the motion to the motion. With all those in favor of this motion, please signify by voting in the poll on your screen.
Mr. Chairman, on the resolution to amend the company's regulations and constitution to accommodate the holding of annual general meetings by electronic or virtual means, where the directors deem it necessary to do so, 69 voted for the motion, 1 voted against it.
I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. We have come to the end of the proceedings. I'd like to call on the Group Chief Marketing Officer, Mrs. Gillian Hammer, to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the Board of Directors and the staff of Data Bank, we would like to thank everybody who participated today. We appreciate your time, the data that you've used, and just your support as shareholders. So we thank you for everything. We thank the directors for a job well done. And we thank the fund managers, the CEO of DataBank, and everybody who has a hand in managing the fund. Thank you. We wish you a wonderful day. See you next year.
Thank you. I now call on Mrs. Deborah Ama Akote to say the closing prayer.
Deborah, can you please unmute yourself?
We cannot hear. She's not here.
Hello. Please, we are praying. Our Lord and Master Jesus, we thank you for today. We bless your holy name for giving us this day. We thank you, Lord, for giving us a successful meeting. We ask that your favor and your glory will continue to be in our lives. We thank you for EdiFund. We pray that you give the directors, the fund managers, and the shareholders the ability to steer the affairs of the fund in a good direction. We thank you, we bless you. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board of Directors, I'd like to thank you for attending the virtual meeting and showing so much interest in the affairs of DataBank. We're definitely very encouraged. In particular for this meeting, for showing interest in the affairs of DataBank Educational Investment Fund. I hereby declare the virtual meeting formally closed. Thank you very much.